You amigos out there, players, playerettes, dudettes, everybody in between, welcome back to episode 124 of this thing of ours. We call Game of Crimes, the 124th attempt, again, to silence us, but we shall not go quietly into that good night. Shall we, Murph?
Heck no. And why didn't you say bienvenidos? You don't want everybody getting
Bienvenidos, willkommen, benvenuti, we could do all of those. What's that?
Up your snooty.
Up your snooty, Mr. Looty. Well, anyway, hey guys, welcome back to the next installment. And this is going to be a good one too. We'll tell you a little bit more about this, but we're going to kind of take a page out of the playbook of Rick Rambo. We got a lot of great comments back on Rick. So we're going to kind of repeat that in something that's a little more serious, but we think you guys will like. So guys, welcome back. Once again, we talk about housekeeping because that's what the script says. Apple, Spotify, hit those 5 stars. We love it. We appreciate it. Just give us your feedback. We always look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And just let us know what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what other things you'd like to hear. So hit that Spotify, Apple, hit those 5 stars. It really helps us out a lot. Also, head on over to our website, gameofcrimespodcast.com. We've got some great guests coming up. We just on this last Thursday before this episode, our interview with Jillian Lauren came out. She's the one who interviewed Samuel Little. We've got her book posted up there, so we've got a lot of great content coming out. That's where you're going to find information about her. But you got to read that. Dude is, just that talk about evil incarnate, somebody who killed 96 women.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. But you're going to find that over on our website along with her book. Also follow us on that thing they call social media at Game of Crimes on Twitter, Game of Crimes Podcast on Facebook, and the Instagram. But where you got to be, where we just finished up recording another special segment of You Can't Make This Shit Up, you got to be over at Patreon, patreon.com/Game of Crimes with an S, Game of Crimes, patreon.com/Game of Crimes. Feel like we should have an 800 number. You know how they always do the 800 number on the radio? Call 1-800, that's 1-800. There's a reason they do it 3 times because it's supposed to imprint it into your brain. So, patreon.com/Game of Crimes. There's the third one, right, Murph? We just did You Can't Make This Shit Up. I'm telling you. If nothing else, you got to listen to it for 2 things. Number one, you got to find out what Operation Deals on Wheels is, and you got to find out what ass to crack going to town means. Or no, crack to sack going to town.
Yep.
You got to find out what that means. Oh,
we're not going to tell you anymore. You got to go find out.
You got to go listen to it. And if you're not listening to it, where can you find it? Game of Crimes, or patreon.com/Game of Crimes. So we got lots of great stuff. We've got Case of the Month coming out. We'll have our monthly Narcometer review, our bonus videos, and a lot of good stuff coming up. So make sure you go visit us there. Also, go into that thing they call facebook.com, type in Game of Crimes fans, hit our fan page run by our favorite mafia queen, Sandy Salvato, who rules with the iron fist with a velvet glove ensconced around the iron fist so it doesn't feel as bad when you get smacked with that upside the head for being an asshat. So don't be an asshat. Just come have fun. Go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com, type in Game of Crimes fans, answer a couple questions, Murph. It's easy. If you got in, anybody can get in.
That's the absolute truth. I won't refute that at all.
Yeah.
I was a little worried when I answered the question. I was afraid I wouldn't get in.
But Murph, this is a show about crime. We talk about bad people doing bad things and bad people doing bad things to good people. We do take this story seriously, but...
Ladies and gentlemen, we will never take ourselves serious.
And because we don't take ourselves seriously, it is that part of... I can't believe there was one person who said he thought he didn't like hearing small town police blotter. Just get with the story. Well, I'm sorry, pal. We will not go quietly into the good night. We have people who just live for small town police blotter.
Well, and we've gotten so many positive comments. That's the only negative comment we've ever gotten. We've got hundreds of positive comments saying, I love that part, but don't take it out.
We have asked people, they didn't want to take it out. So guess what, Murph? We're not going to take it out, but there's only one way you can hear about small town police blotter, and that's if I ask you once again, like the TV announcer does at the very end, where he repeats stuff very, very fast. Guess what time it is, Murph? Guess what time it is? What time is it, Mr. Murph?
It's time for
Small Town Police Blotter. Anyway, hey, A.G. Harris IV, again, copied us on something on the Facebook page, and I thought this is small town police blotter material.
Mm-hmm. And we appreciate that.
We appreciate that. A.G. Harris IV. The fourth, or IV. I don't know if you're in a hospital and that's A.G. Harris IV stat or A.G. Harris the fourth. Anyway, A.G. Harris IV says, hey, this comes to us from Tazewell, Tennessee, population 2,348. Salute. So they say the police department, and this doesn't seem like a big thing, right? But maybe it is. Henry Meade was arrested for DUI. He was under the influence, apparently quite impaired. He was so unsteady on his feet, they conducted a field sobriety test. They determined he was under the influence. Now, the only part about this, Murph, was he happened to be driving the kids train during the annual Santa parade, and he was driving a motorized lawnmower with carts full of kids and their families.
It's funny, but it's not funny, but it is funny.
Well, Murph, when they arrested him, they also found him in possession of what?
Meth.
A syringe, meth, and several other narcotics. As bad as a conductor under the influence and in possession of meth sounds, the mayor would like everybody to know nobody was in danger. Well, first, he tried to point. This is spinning. When you're in politics, it's called spin. The mayor pointed out in a joint statement with the town's police chief that the city didn't hire me. No, independently contracted vendors are to blame, even though there are plenty of officers working. Despite this, the Tazewell Police Department responded swiftly to the incident, ensuring the safety of event attendees. The rapid action taken by our law enforcement underscores our commitment to the public safety. It's important to note that in the 1/8 mile radius on Main Street during the event, we had 14 police officers on foot patrol for several thousand attendees. Public safety is paramount on any day at any time, and this event was no different, except for letting a guy stoned on meth and drunk get onto a riding lawnmower and pull kids.
It's just sad. You got to laugh here a little bit, but damn.
Here's the other thing you have to laugh to. Here's the next rocket scientist that comes along. This comes to us from Franklin County, Ohio. Murph, have you ever seen people post shit on social media? You just go, what the hell were you thinking?
Like every day here?
Like every day, yeah.
Day.
So, Ohio man is facing serious consequences after a Facebook. So what is it that he could have posted on Facebook that got him in trouble and in handcuffs?
It was something probably pro law enforcement, because they'll kick you off for that.
No, this got him arrested, not kicked off of Facebook. It got him arrested. Yeah. What would get you in? What could you do on Facebook that would get you arrested?
Oh, I'll bet you he's showing off his plunder from committing a robbery or a burglary, something like that.
You're getting close. He posted a 12-second video on a personal Facebook page with no privacy settings, so anybody could see it, of him drinking alcohol while behind the wheel of a car. He looks into the camera while music plays, raises his eyebrows, and takes a swig from a partially covered bottle. The camera is flipped around to show his hand with only one finger raised to guide the steering wheel as a wiper moves across the windshield. He even had people write, "You got a distracted and a drunk driver just exponentially causing danger wherever he went." This is what the sheriff's office said. A Facebook friend comments, "Dude, really?" He responds, "I'm a good driver, don't worry." Well, guess what? They did worry. And guess what? He's got his hands full while trying to drive, so drinking and paying attention to his phone. So now he's on the phone. He's drinking. He's driving with one finger. So guess what? They tracked him down, pulled him over, arrested him. They charged him with 5 misdemeanor counts, including operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs and having an open container. The Facebook posting is evidence that could help prove those charges. Guess what? Wasn't his first time. Wasn't his first go-round.
Unbelievable. That's just a surprise, isn't it? The only thing left is, did they find meth in the car?
Let's see here. And operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs and having an open container. Nope, no meth in this one.
All right. It's just stupid. That's one thing younger people should be aware of, is the things that you post on social media. If you're out looking for a job, they're going to check your social media accounts.
As I say, what's the difference between love and YouTube and Facebook?
What's that?
YouTube and Facebook, they're forever. And final one, Murph. Speaking of keeping it in the family, as they say. Another drinking one. So this comes to us from my neck of the woods, Culpeper, Virginia, population 20,032. Salute. Man's facing a drunk driving rap. He blew a .32, which, folks, .08 is the legal limit. I mean, you're presumed drunk at .08. He was 4 times the legal limit.
Well, and at .4, you're supposed to be dead.
Yeah. Well, unless you're good at it, like this guy was. So he was pulled over going to get gas for his riding lawnmower that he was on. He was going to the 7-Eleven for gas, Murph.
Yeah.
.32.
Couldn't keep it on the side of the road.
And you know what? It's not that you were trying to drive back alleys. He is going down. I've been to through Main Street in Culpeper. Cute little town.
Yeah.
He's going down Main Street.
Probably didn't even know where he was.
Well, he knew he was going to the 7-Eleven for gas, so get yourself a big Slurpee, pal. You're going to need that. So anyway, 0.32. Wow.
He's probably going to pick up another couple six-packs.
Like he needed it. Anyway, so lawnmowers are bad. By the way, you can't get arrested for operating under the influence on a lawnmower. It is considered a motorized vehicle.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, especially when you're out on the roadway.
In the middle of Main Street. Yeah, going to get more gas. Why do you need to get more gas for if you're on? I mean, anyway, they've heard of gas cans. Anyway, better, I guess, on that than a vehicle. So anyway, more Murph. So this brings us to this month's episode. So this one is because of, we got some good friends. Again, Southern California Gang Conference, Mel Souza, the gang out there. They always take care of us. And we've had people ask this. This one is, there's some fun stuff in here, but is a very serious topic because it deals with health and wellness in law enforcement and the challenges people go through. And Murph, I'll tell you, if somebody went through some challenges, now he's come out of it good. But this was so important when we got into it. We were 90 minutes into it, and we both said, there's no way we can do this in 90 minutes. So this is going to be another Rick Rambo one, or this is now a 4-parter. We'll have part 1 and 2 come out the first week, part 3 and 4 come out the second week.
Yeah, and this topic is one that some of our listeners expressed an interest in as well. And what we're talking about is wellness when it comes to law enforcement. So our guest today is Michael Martinez, veteran San Diego police officer. Within his first 2 years, his first shooting came at 8 months out of the academy. Within the first 2 years, he's involved in 4 shooting incidents. You know, they called him a shit magnet. I call him a bullet magnet. And how did that affect him psychologically? His mental composure, what San Diego PD did to try to help him, eventually basically had an intervention. But here's what I like most about Mike is this is all very transparent. He's very open and honest. You're going to hear things that are going to bring tears to your eyes today. And next week when the next part comes out, it's Mike, we just can't thank you enough for being open. This is for not just for law enforcement. This is for all first responders, military personnel, anybody that's in a position in an occupation where you face danger. You could be an electrical lineman, and that's an extremely dangerous job. So hearing what Mike's got to say could benefit anybody that comes across a potential PTSD type situation. You know, I mean, the poor guy just all these years later still suffers from headaches, and you'll hear his whole story about that in just a minute.
Well, and you and I both have talked. We've all lost friends in the line of duty, and I've lost more friends to suicide than I have to felonious acts or being shot or killed on duty. And this is a very serious topic. I mean, we have some fun with it. He tells you about some of the fun things he did as a rookie. But yeah, imagine, like you say, in the first 18 months, 3 shootings, and then you'll hear about what he did, his recovery, and then just right out of recovery, he's involved in another shooting. So 4 in less than 2 years. Yeah,
and we're just going to throw this out here at the beginning and the end also is if you're considering suicide, if you're in some psychological distress, there is a national hotline. Just dial 988. Please remember that, 988. You'll hear us talk about it in the interview. You're going to hear it again at the interview. 988. There's no need to commit suicide. There's somebody out there waiting to help you.
Yeah, there's no need to be alone. You've got people out there, so 988. Get yourself some help. But hey, look, Murph, we had a little bit of fun with this because Mike does have fun with this. He's a great guy. But let's talk about this. There's only one way we're going to find out about this. And I ask you, because this really encapsulates how dangerous it is sometimes. So let me ask you, are you ready to play the biggest, baddest, most dangerous game of all, the game of crimes?
Absolutely. This is one of the most important interviews we've ever done with anybody. So get in, sit down, shut up, hold on, and this time listen. Bring on Mike.
Well, you folks are definitely in for a treat. First of all, Murph, I know you wanted to give a shout out to our buddy who helped us arrange this interview again.
I do. There's a guy in San Diego named Mel. I won't say his last name because I don't want him to get pissed off at me. But Mel has made a ton of introductions as guests for our shows here, and he's done the same today. I think in reality, it's probably Santee is the one that knows everybody, and Mel just gets the credit. Love you,
Oh,
Bruce.
Mel's designed to be a Fed then. Okay, good.
But very, very honored to have our special guest today on Michael Martinez with the San Diego Police Department. Woohoo!
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. And yeah, big shout out to Mel. He's a solid guy. Thank you guys for, or thank him for connecting us all together.
Love those guys out there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
well, you got a great story too, because we're going to talk about this. You've been involved in 4 officer-involved shootings. You've been involved in more stuff within about 4 years than most people are involved in an entire. Some don't even go through it in a career.
Right.
And we're going to talk about the things you went through, the recovery you went through. But before we can get into any of that, because you're coming to us from sunny San Diego, right, where anybody can be a weatherman, because Ron Burgundy, the legend,
Yeah.
right? It's always 80 degrees and sunny in San Diego. But with you, Michael, we got to ask, how did you get started? Cosa Nostra, thing of ours. How did you get started in this thing of ours? Were you just like a Ute hanging around the gas lamp district, stealing beer? What was going on? What was your first, foray into the law? How did you get started in this thing of ours we call law enforcement?
I wasn't far from that description that you just mentioned. I wasn't the best kid growing up. I grew up in South San Diego, and I wasn't that good of a student in middle school and high school. Got in trouble a lot, and I got into a bunch of fights in high school, and my parents ended up taking me out of public school and they put me in private school. So I always credit them for, they obviously saw more in me than what I saw in myself.
What were you getting into fights over?
Just ego. That's that. Very long story short. Now looking back at it, it was just all ego. It was just all ego, but. Went to private school and ended up graduating from high school. And when I was in high school, the counselor, she came to me and she said, "Hey, your overall grades, they're good enough to get you into a 4-year university." And I said, "What's a 4-year university?" I was ignorant. I didn't really know much. My goal, my plan was just to get a job and just hang out here in San Diego, maybe go to a 2-year university or something like that, or 2-year community college. And that was my goal. But she kind of talked me into, she's like, "Hey, take this book, this little magazine home. It had all the private Catholic universities in the U.S. And she's like, take a look at it, circle some that you may want to apply to, and I'll help you apply." So, obviously, I'm a San Diego boy. I don't like the cold weather, and I, like you said, 80 degrees, right? That's every day. If it gets below 79, then I'm throwing on a jacket and a hoodie and sweatpants and trying to stay warm. So
the struggle is real in San Diego.
The struggle is real. Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like the people here in Orlando, man. If it drops down to like 65, they got on parkas and gloves and scarves.
When I was a trooper out there working all by myself, covering 6 counties, it would be blowing 25, 30 miles an hour. The temperature would be 10, 5 degrees. And I'd be out there with just a long sleeve shirt, pair of gloves, and a campaign hat. We were tough back then.
Yeah, we knew they didn't hire you because you were real smart, Morgan. We know that.
I wouldn't have survived that weather. I'll tell you that.
Well, it's a good thing you stayed in San Diego. Now, with all your little times you had in high school, were you ever arrested by the police for your fighting, or was that all handled just in school?
It was handled in school. There was a couple of contacts I had with police. I never got arrested or anything like that, but that was as far as it went. I never went to juvenile hall, or usually my parents picked me up. So that was my extent and my experience with law enforcement, and it wasn't in the most positive light.
Well, talk about so you're looking at universities, Catholic universities, right? So what is it you felt like you wanted to study? If you're going to go to college for 4 years, what interested you at that point?
So at that point, my goal was to work with at-risk teens, and so I was thinking, maybe I'll be a psychologist or a therapist and work with at-risk teens. So when the counselor gave me that book, I looked through it and I was like, well, I'm not going to the East Coast because I don't want to work anywhere or live anywhere where it's 50 below, 50
I'm a
or
tough
0.
Guy, but if it gets below 80, I'm not so tough.
Yeah, I'm not so tough. Yeah, so I circled the at the very last page. It was Alaska and Hawaii, and of course, you don't have to think too hard as to what the what option I chose. It was Hawaii, so I went to Chaminade University,
Oh yeah,
and
great basketball team they had there
yeah,
too.
yep. Yeah, and so I ended up attending Chaminade University. The counselor really she really hooked me up and helped me fill out all the paperwork and talk my parents through all the FAFSA and all the other paperwork that's involved. And yeah, she got the ball rolling. And I think the most important thing was I had to get out of California. Just the route that I was going, the direction that I was going as a teenager. It wasn't in nothing positive was going to come out of me staying in San Diego or me staying in California.
Was there talk us about growing up though? Your high school. Why'd you want to work with at-risk youth? I mean, what was it about it growing up? I mean, was there like in your high school? Did you have issues with gangs or other types of things that you were concerned about?
Yeah, there was gang activity. I have family members that are in the mix with all that stuff too, or they were. Many of them have already passed away, but I've always been around that type of environment. When I was in high school, I was around that environment, and at the time, I just felt that there's an opportunity for me to help kids like myself, kids that lived in low income homes, maybe lived with one or two parents, or lived with their grandparents or stuff like that. That's what a lot of my friends were. They low income community. And some of them didn't live with their parents at all. They lived, they were raised by their aunts or grandparents. So that was my goal. I was like, if I go to college and I'm gonna get a degree, I'll get a degree in psychology and I'll work with at-risk youth.
How did you avoid getting caught up in the gang scene out there?
I knew that wasn't the exact path that I wanted to take. Luckily, I had family members who were in the mix, and they were a lot older than me, my cousins and uncles, and they always told me to, even though I was able to hang out with them and hang around them and stuff, they always kept me away from making that one decision to go ahead and join. So yeah, they kind of kept me out of it for the most part.
Nice.
So you go from starting fights to wanting to stopping fights and keeping kids out of fights, right? So
Right.
Was that because of what you saw? I mean, that seems like a big extreme. It's like you deciding one day, hey, I love San Diego. Like you said, now I'm going to move to Alaska, right? So that's kind of a big extreme going from being involved in a lot of that to saying, hey, I want to work with these kids. What flipped the switch for you? Where did that happen at? Was it an event? Did you see some things happen? Have some friends get caught up in some pretty bad stuff? What caused you to flip that switch to go, yeah, I'm tired of starting fights. I want to be on the other side of this now.
I think it was I knew that wasn't the direction that I wanted my life to go. And I knew that if I was going to go to Hawaii, and I was going to move away from home, I had to make the best, the best, out of that experience. Right. I had to take advantage of everything that experience or that opportunity had to offer. So I think it was just more so of hey, if I'm going to move from San Diego to Hawaii and I'm going to be there for 4 or 5 years, getting a degree, what am I going to do with that opportunity? Obviously, I'm not going to waste it. So that's I think that's kind of where that switch happened. It was that opportunity of me being able to leave California and make start a new life, basically.
Wow. I tell you what, you were a lot more mature at that age than I was. Holy cow.
I was more concerned about where are the girls, where are the beer? I was in a fraternity.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like though, but one of the things it sounds like though too is that your parents were really good people. I mean, were they? Which generation are they? Originally, are they from Mexico? Were they born here? Where did they come from?
Yeah, so they were both born here in San Diego. My grandparents, they're from Mexico, but my parents are both born here in San Diego, and they struggled with that gang life. Also, low income, poor community. But they were able, once they had me and my brother, they were able to kind of get out of that lifestyle. And I always remember my dad. My parents when I was growing up, my parents were never, really involved in that gang activity. That was more so when they were in their teens and whatnot. But I always remember my dad working, 2-3 jobs. He was home sometimes on the weekends, but he was just always working and providing for us. And I always remember also my mom, she always worked long hours whenever she was at work. So, we would walk to school on our own, and my mom would come home at 6-7 o'clock. I felt like at night, and they did a good job supporting us and providing for us. That we didn't obviously have everything that we always wanted, but we always had everything that we needed.
Are you married and have children?
I do. I do. I have two young boys, and I'm married.
Wow. So
right.
They've got some lessons to learn from Dad here, right? Because it just sounds like your mom and dad did a fantastic job.
Awesome job.
The other thing too, it sounds like you get to a certain point is they knew what it was like to grow up, in the hard life, and like you didn't want to disappoint them either, right? You didn't want to, after everything they put into it, you don't want to say, "Yeah, guess what? Your son's a failure. I've decided to get hooked up in gangs and go to prison." Yeah. Happy birthday, Ma. Yeah, but so let's talk about going to Hawaii, Chaminade, right? So
yes.
How long did it take you before you started going mahalo, bro?
Oh, it took a little while. It was funny because when I first got there,
you're more like, "What's up, SA?" Mahalo, bro.
Yeah, I was like watching my back, and everybody was like, "Aloha," and I was like, "What the hell does that mean?" Yeah,
what'd you call me?
What'd you call me? Yeah. So no, it was good. Hawaii it's a beautiful place. Obviously, way laid back. Relaxed, compared to the hustle and bustle, the fast-paced life here in California and San Diego. It almost felt like nobody was ever in a rush to go anywhere. It was just, I'm used to driving fast on the streets, and when I'm there, it's like everybody is just like, I start work at 7, but if I get there at 7:05, 7:10, it's not a bit. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was always in a rush, but people there were just kind of like, "Hey, just relax, brah."
Now, did you learn to surf?
You know what? I tried that quite a few times, and I was never able to get up on the board. I could paddle board. I can when it's the water's a lot calmer, but I was never able to get into surfing. I wish I would have tried a lot more. Had a lot more time to take that to learn how to surf.
So where's Chaminade University? Tell us now about the university, where it's located at. How big of a school is it?
Yeah, so it's a private university, Catholic university, and it's in Honolulu. I'm not even exactly too sure how many students or what that looks like, but it's a small university. It's not like University of Hawaii, which that's a lot bigger. This one it's a lot more private and small.
Yeah. So you move out there. So what was it? So you're going through there. What point did law enforcement start entering your mind? Was that after college, sometime during college? When did this thing that finally led you to San Diego PD start, bubbling up?
Yeah. So when I first went to Chaminade, my goal was to get a degree in psychology. And after my first year of living out there, I started working at the Queens Medical Center, which is the trauma center in Honolulu. And I worked security there. And when I was working security, it was I got bit by the law enforcement bug there. That's where I got my first hit of that adrenaline rush, the excitement. It was fun to go to work every single day and hang out with the other security officers that I was working with, and we all became good buddies. But the Honolulu PD would bring in their psych patients or their 5150 patients, and in the emergency room, and the fight would be on. Oh,
and you know something about fighting, don't you?
I think I do.
See, this is where your San Diegoers come out. Hi, okay, y'all hang back. Watch this. You know?
I wish I had it like that. I wish, but it was exciting. The fights would be on. The patients would be literally knocking out nurses and doctors. There was an inpatient treatment center up on I think it was on the 4th or 5th floor. It was called Kekela, and that was the inpatient psych ward at the hospital. And there would be patients that would escape from escape from the psych ward, and they'd be running down the street, and they call security, and we're out there chasing them on foot, and we take them, get them back into custody, or bring them back to the hospital. And I was like, damn, I like this adrenaline rush. Was it, that it's exciting, running down the middle of the street, chasing people, breaking up fights at the hospital.
Yeah, you say that now. I think I've told this story before, but as a rookie police officer in Salina, Kansas, I was also training to become an EMT. We're doing our rotation at, I think it's, I can't think of the hospital that's on Santa Fe Street there, but so we're there one night, and a psych patient goes running out. So there's a bunch of us running after him, and plainclothes, doing EMT stuff. So we get the guy right in the middle of a busy 4-lane, road, 2 lanes south, 2 lanes north. Kids are cruising around. I got this guy held down, and they're bringing a shot like a Thorazine, and they say, stand by, we got the Thorazine. And then all of a sudden they say, I feel my pants start to go down. My right buttock starts getting exposed. I said, wrong guy. They're about to shoot me up.
That explains a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it explains. It was hard to tell who was the patient at that point. It's like, get that away from me.
Yeah.
I was just a couple seconds away from going into a, sleep mode. So
yeah, for about a day. Sleeping for about a day.
You mentioned the 5150 patient. Tell us what that is.
Psych patient, psychiatric patient, or our the prisoners, when we not prisoners, but when we we take somebody in for a 5150 or a psych eval, they're a danger to themselves, to others, or they're unable to care for themselves.
If you use acronyms here, you have to tell us what they are.
Yeah. Oh, and it was Asbury Hospital, now called, I think it's Salina Regional Regional Health Center. Anyway, that was it. Just got to close the loop on that. So you're dealing with all of these guys. But now, did that dissuade you from going into the psychiatric side, or, like I said, you wanted a degree in psychology? Did that steer you start towards the law enforcement side, or were you still like, hey, I want to do this at-risk work?
It was a little bit of both. I didn't know which direction I wanted to go, so I ended up getting a degree in, I got a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, and then I got a Bachelor of Science in Criminology and Criminal Justice. And at the time, I didn't know which way I wanted to go. I didn't know if I wanted to go with the, at-risk, youth route, or I wanted to get into law enforcement. I didn't know too much about law enforcement besides, what we were doing, and, rubbing elbows with, the cops out in Hawaii.
So did you get both degrees during that 4 years, or did you go an extra year?
So I did an extra year. So I stayed in college for 5 years, and then in total, I stayed in Hawaii for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, so that explains the lay around your neck, and the little white shirt.
my colorful shirt here.
Oh man, I'll tell you, best set of shirts I got when I was over in Hawaii were these, a thing called Tory Richards. They were just beautiful, handmade, and the buttons were handmade from seashells. I mean, just beautiful, intricate artwork. I love the stuff. But so you stayed in Hawaii. So when you graduated, what did you do? Where did you apply? What did you do after that?
Yeah. So after graduating, I think I stayed maybe another 1 or 2 years at the Queens Medical Center, and then that's when I kind of made that decision. You know what? I want to go the law enforcement route. I applied for state corrections. I got picked up with the state of Hawaii. I was working in the Hawaii Youth Correctional Facility, and that was fun. But I quickly realized that wasn't my cup of tea. Custody wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't like being indoors all day long. You would go in. I don't know. We'd start at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's still dark, and then I would be getting out of work and it's dark again, because you work a 16-hour shift. The rookies, right? The boots, they're you're gonna get held over all the time. So it just wasn't for me. I mean, it was fun, it was exciting, it was good pay. I learned a lot, got a lot of experience out of it. But that custody, just it wasn't my cup of tea. I wanted to be out in the streets and talking with people and being able to smell the fresh air.
Speaking of fresh air and stuff over there, some of the best fruit I ever got came out of Hawaii. Oh, I mean, my gosh, right from the plantation, the pineapple especially. I can't tell you how good. What was your favorite food coming out of Hawaii? What did you pick up? What became something you brought with you back to California?
Poke. Yep.
Tell us what that is.
It's raw fish. Oh, sushi. Most people would look at it as sushi, but
you mean bait.
Exactly. It kind of looks like bait. It kind of exactly. It looks exactly like bait. Cubed fish. That's delicious. I can eat that morning or night.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple things you should have left in Hawaii, brah.
So you guys are telling me you don't like fish? Sushi?
No fish, man. No seafood.
Oh.
I like fish, but it needs to be cooked.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Although I did have some, we were up in Calgary, Canada one time, and a man up there had some fresh bluefin tuna. Now, I could have lived off that for quite a while.
I bet.
It was very good.
I got sick as a kid living in Iran. My dad was military. I got sick from eating tuna, and it about took me out. They almost shipped me back to the United States, and it was like, can't ever see myself getting close to seafood again after that experience. I was sick for 6 months,
That's the same way I feel about tequila.
Tequila. Everybody's got it. Let's hear your tequila story now that you
brought it up. You don't want to hear that.
Yes, we do. You can't bring it up and not talk about it. Let's hear your tequila story, amigo.
I just think
was it in Hawaii or in California?
Yeah, I don't even remember. But I just know that I can't drink it anymore. I mean, I even see people taking taking shots and my mouth starts watering. I'm like, oh Lord, I can't do that.
Oh, mine came from college too. I was a little farm boy. Didn't know what tequila was. Some said, "Here, try this." Then it was 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor. Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We had a tradition in Bogota that when you were transferring out, we'd have a big going away party, and at the end of the night, or probably the next morning when the sun was coming up, we had the Circle of Gold, and that involved Cuervo Gold. And I've seen us go through as many as 5 bottles of that. And it's just nasty.
Yeah. Look at him right now. He's breaking out his sweat. He's going,
yeah. Now I'm about to end this session.
You're having flashbacks here.
I am.
Get the full body shudder. So what prompted you then? So you're in Hawaii. What prompted you to say, hey, time to leave the Aloha State and come back to California?
It was a mixture of things. It was me being homesick, to the point where it was like, it's time to go home, time to spend time with family.
Not married at that point?
No, not married at that point. I was engaged. So I had a fiance. I met my wife in college. And at that point, we were engaged. I was still working at the correctional facility. I knew that, hey, this, corrections is not my cup of tea. Let's start looking for a career in law enforcement as a police officer with the sheriff's department. So then I just started applying, and obviously, I wanted to move back to San Diego. So I started applying with agencies here in Southern California. And
it's a little difficult to fly back and forth for interviews, isn't it?
It is. In the first couple of times, I thought, I could probably do this, save some money and, fly back and forth. They had, most agencies have that out of state applicant process. So they kind of cut your trips from, having it, into like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3, trips, and you'll finish the process. But that became expensive. It became too expensive. And because of my extensive background history of not being such a good citizen, there was times when they would say, when I applied for San Diego Police Department, they told me, I think the first time they told me, let's do a 3-year, you got to wait for 3 years before you reapply. Obviously we're not going to take you right now. And then I applied again. I waited another 3 years, and then they told me, let's wait another 2 years. So it was, I'm
getting the feeling San Diego really didn't want to hire you.
They didn't want to hire me, but I was dedicated.
You're going to wear them down, aren't you?
I am. I did. So it was good. Me and my wife, we both decided, or fiance at the time, we both decided, you know what, let's move back to San Diego, and um, it's going to be easier for me to apply for agencies, and that's what we did. We moved back to San Diego. I got the first job that hired me, which was San Diego County Animal Control. So I was catching the four-legged animals out there, and that was actually really fun. I never thought that I would ever be an animal control officer, but that job was actually
I went to school for 5 years. People have degrees in psychology and criminal justice.
Yep.
Do you know who I am?
But it was fun. It was fun, exciting. The people that I work with, they were cool. It was a good time. But I only did that for about 2 years, and then I finally got picked up with San Diego PD. So
now, is your wife from the islands? Where's she from?
Yes, so she was born in California, and then moved to Hawaii. She had been out there at the time. I don't know, maybe like 20. She had lived out there for like 20 years or something like that.
So, what did it take to get her to come back to California with you?
It wasn't much. She was ready. She was actually ready to come back to California. She was.
Well, she thought California was expensive, right? Try Hawaii, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. People always say, they're like, oh, Hawaii or California is just as expensive as Hawaii. And I'm like, well, wait till you live there. Like, try living there and seeing how much milk is and how much groceries is. It's way more expensive than California.
Because everything has to be flown or shipped in. I mean, there's everything fruit or other stuff. It's like it all has to be, transported over. Man, so the cost of it just goes through the roof. So how old were you when you finally got on the PD?
How old was I? I think I got hired at 29, and I think I didn't, I was probably like 30 years old, because I've been on the department now for 7 years. So yeah, I was probably about 29, 30 years old when I finally got hired.
I'll talk about persistence, man.
You're not kidding.
Yeah, I knew it was what I wanted to do. I knew law enforcement was a route that I wanted to go. I didn't want to, although I liked it, I didn't want to do animal control. I didn't want to do corrections, so I wasn't gonna work corrections.
Well, by the time you got on the street, though, you'd work in the psych ward, you'd work, with juveniles, you'd work animal control, you'd work custody. So you'd kind of had a good feeling. I mean, you've kind of got some good experience going in. So how did it start out for you? You get into the academy. You probably got to be right in the middle of the age bracket, or were you a little bit more towards the older?
That's a good question. I would say I was probably either right there in the middle or a little bit on the older side. But yeah, I can't even. I don't even remember. I think I was probably right there in the middle.
So when you got hired on, you remember how many people were in your class with you?
That's a good question. I don't even remember. Probably about 35, I would say. Okay. It's probably with San Diego PD, because it's the San Diego County Regional Academy. So you have agencies from all over the county of San Diego that go to that academy. So I think we probably had about a good 30 San Diego PD recruits.
And how long was your academy?
6 months. Yeah, it was a 6-month police academy.
So did you have to live
go
on
home?
site?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you got it. The same question.
So yes, it's not a live-in academy. So we went home at the end of the day and did it all over again the next day.
So you go through this 6 months. Now you're kind of older. You've been through a lot of stuff. So during this academy, did your prior experience help you during the academy, or did it not factor in?
It was. I still learned a ton, but I think for me it was easier for the role playing, the scenarios and the role playing.
Especially when they want a crazy person who wants to fight. You're going, hey, I'm your Huckleberry right over here. I got you, bro.
Exactly. It was easier for me to. I felt it came.
You need
like
a 5150. It's me, man.
It's me. Yeah, it was. It felt like it was second nature, just being able to just talk to people, contact people. For me, it just felt a little bit easier. I mean, again, I was still learning a ton in the academy, and learning the police way to do things. But that I think it was it was easier for me to just being able to do the role playing and contacting people, talking to people, starting conversations, all the stuff that we trained.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the hardest part of the academy for you?
I think it was adjusting. So when I started the academy, I had just gotten married the year prior, and that same year, just a few months before I started the academy, me and my wife had our first son, and he was obviously just months old. So I think it was trying to navigate, still learning how to be a husband, trying to learn that role, and then now being a brand new father, and kind of that the stress that comes with being at the academy, studying, um, you know, prioritizing, I guess, starting to learn how to prioritize work, life, and family. So that I think that was the biggest struggle. It wasn't so much the academy, at least for me.
Nice.
So you go through 6 months. Any funny stories we should know about that maybe we heard from Mel or some other folks that have we've got in writing with a sworn affidavit, Michael?
I see a big grin coming on his face there. There's something here.
I there probably is. There probably is.
There probably is.
I don't remember any right now.
There's a good line. I don't remember, officer. Yeah, I don't recall. Yeah.
I'm sure there was. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was my first in phase training, I didn't think I was gonna. Once I got into phase training, and you have an FTO, and it's time for you to rock and roll.
Field training officer and phase training is like, how many phases do you have? Like 3 or 4?
We have 4. Yeah. So okay. San Diego PD, we have 4 phases. My first phase, I was a wreck. I didn't know which direction I was going. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't really understand it, but I was like, I don't even know how to drive anymore. With somebody sitting next to you, and you're like, reading the call. You're trying to find your sense of direction. You're trying to recognize, what street you just passed, because your FTO would be like, hey, pull over. What street did we just pass? I'm like, Yeah. So I thought I wasn't going to make it. And
so the correct answer wasn't that one behind.
No, that wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't. So it was funny because my FTO, we're driving, there was a day when we were driving west, and it was already, I don't know, maybe 6-7 o'clock. The sun was already starting to go down, and my FTO asked me. He said, "Hey, which direction does the sun rise?" And I was like, "Well, it rises in the east." He's like, "Okay, good. Which direction does the sun set? Where does the sun set?" I said, "It sets in the west." And he's like, "Okay, good." And mind you, now we're driving westbound. The sun is literally in front of me. It's going down. And he goes, "Which direction are we traveling right now?" And I think I said something like, "We're traveling south." And he's like, no. And I remember going home that night, and I was like, "Babe, I'm going to have to look for another job, because I don't think I'm going to make it." So, but I did. I ended up making it.
A little bit of stress there.
Just a little. Yeah, just a little.
I'm wearing a red cape. What color is my red cape? I don't know. Blue?
But
that was the Fed question.
I'm telling you, I was a mess. I was a mess on first phase.
You actually learn from those things, though. I can remember when I was a rookie, I was riding with a guy named Mike, and you'd pull up in traffic, and you finally get to drive, because they always wanted to drive. And I'd pull up at a red light behind traffic, just like you normally do in your personal car. And he's like, "Hey, rookie, okay, now if we get a code 3 call, how are you going to get out? How are you going to get around that car?" I said, "Turn the lights and sirens on." He said, "You can't physically get this car. You pulled up too damn close to the car. What's wrong with you?" To this day, I still kind of stop a little bit back.
Yeah. Yep.
It's one of those lessons you never forget.
I know. I rode with you, Murph. You stopped not only back, you got Orlando disease. You stop about a block and a half before the stop sign, and you wait.
I'm going to get a sign that's hang it up, hold it up as I come by. People, pull your freaking car up closer.
That's right. Get closer.
It is.
So, but you do survive your training, right? So, how long is your phase training, and what's the final phase? Is that where you're doing everything on your own and just under observation?
Yes. So, 4th phase, I had all my FTOs were actually great, and I don't just say that, just to say it. I think they were all awesome. But my 4th phase FTO, he was solid. I mean, he kind of let me just like any FTO should do, right? He let me kind of make those mistakes and then recognize the mistake that I was doing, and while I was doing it, and be able to correct it. And yeah, it was good. 4 phases. Finish up my 4th phase over at Northern Division, and then I was assigned to Southern Division. So I was. For San Diego PD, they give you, there's a wish list, right? And it doesn't mean that you're going to get that wish list. They just, hey, give us your top 3 divisions that you would want to work at. And they kind of figure out how, if they're going to put you there or not. They try to accommodate, you where you live, so if you live, up north, they're probably not going to send you all the way down to Southern Division, which is near Tijuana. But so they try to work with people for the most part. And my first choice was Southern Division because I'm from, I grew up in South San Diego. Southern Division was South San Diego. It's, in basically where San Isidro is at, right by the border. And that was my number 1 pick. And I got picked. I was given the opportunity to go work at Southern Division. So that's where I started my career.
¿Tú hablas español?
Sí, un poquito.
No,
It depends on what kind of call I got. Then I don't understand. No, just joking. I'm just joking. No hablo español.
That's like the people you pull over and you get them to sign here. No hablo inglés. Okay, you're coming to jail then. Oh, where do you want me to sign? I'll sign it right now. You need a pen? I got a pen.
Right.
I had some folks do that one time. I was out as a trooper writing them a ticket, and they're like, "No hablo inglés, no hablo inglés." Well, if you don't speak English, then why are your pants unzipped? And the guy's head, he looked down for a second. And I said, "There you go."
Yeah.
How many sworn officers do y'all have in San Diego?
I think right now, I want to say we have maybe 1,700.
Wow.
Sworn. I believe we have 1,700 sworn, and we're just like every other agency in the nation. Probably right now, we're understaffed. Probably by
how many should you have? You think?
I think I don't want to say exactly, but I think we're like short. We're understaffed maybe by like 300-400. I think we're supposed to be at 2,100 maybe. I'm not too sure, but I think we're at 1,700 right now, and I know that we're a few hundred short.
And that means you're running call to call, right?
Our chief usually, he always says, 1 call at a time. Do the best that you can do on that 1 call, and then move on to the next call. Right? Don't rush it. It's the quality of how we work, not how many calls we could get done in the shift.
Hey players, that is the end of part 1. Part 2 comes out, as always, on Tuesday. In the meantime, go check us out at Game of Crimes on Twitter, at Game of Crimes Podcast on Facebook and the Instagram. Also, go check out our website, gameofcrimespodcast.com. We've got a lot more information there, including our book list. Any book written by our guests will be listed there. In the meantime, go check us out also, patreon.com/Game of Crimes. It's where we put a lot more content you won't hear on our regular podcast. We go into a lot more topics, and folks, it is a lot of fun. So go check us out, patreon.com/Game of Crimes. In the meantime, everybody stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow for part 2.